Orion Village Council for Monday, February 9, 2026 to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call, please.
President Rutt,
Here.
Pro Tem Ford,
Here.
Councilmember Mosher,
Here.
Councilmember Lamb,
Here.
Councilmember Dan Delitas,
Here.
Councilmember Comparoni, Councilmember Papachek.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Item number 4, presentations. We have one presentation on audit report for fiscal year ending June 30, 2025. Mr. McCleary.
Your Honor, members of council, you're scheduled to receive a presentation from Greg Sewell of auditing firm Andrews Hooper Pavlik PLC on the Village of Lake Orion audited financial statements for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025. Once Greg has completed his presentation, I will ask Clerk Treasurer Stout to address very briefly the deficiency that was noted in the audit report.
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Greg Soll. I'm the partner in charge of the village's audit. Before you this evening are all of our issued audit reports. The textbook here is consistent with what's in the packet and also consistent with what was filed with the state of Michigan. Tucked into the front cover is just a summary presentation that I have just to go through some of the high points rather than a page-by-page review of the 100-page document here. So as part of our audit, there are 3 documents that were issued: the audited financial statements, we have a council communication letter, and we also have a management letter identifying certain internal control matters. Also, as part of our engagement, we're hired to perform some state filings for the village, and all of those were filed timely and in compliance with state law. One of the key sections of the audit is our opinion or our report of independent auditors. It is a clean or an unmodified opinion. For the village, there are several opinion units: governmental activities, the day-to-day operations of the village, business type activities, which is the water and sewer fund, each major fund, discretely presented component unit, which is the DDA, and the aggregate remaining fund information. All of those have a clean or an unmodified opinion for each of those opinion units. Our report also identifies management's responsibilities for processing the transactions and handling the day-to-day activity, as well as our responsibility as the village's auditors in testing those transactions. The report also identifies required and other supplementary information that's presented as part of the document in front of you. The council report in the packet before you today is on page 78. It's after the audited financial statements. That council report addresses the required auditor communications as part of our engagement. It looks at things like significant audit risks and our procedures around those significant risks. There is some discussion in there about the new water and sewer system bond that was issued this year, as well as some upcoming and adopted auditing and accounting standards. The document also identifies internal control. As part of our engagement, we look at the village's internal control as a basis to test transactions, but not necessarily to render an opinion on the operation of the village's internal control as part of our process. The council report also identifies significant estimates and disclosures. Certain items that may be a little bit more sensitive within the financial statements are some larger estimates, things like pension and OPEB, valuation of investments, and those sorts of things in our engagement. It also identifies some corrected and uncorrected misstatements. As part of our engagement, we proposed several journal entries. All those journal entries were accepted and made by management, and there were no uncorrected misstatements, which is a great thing. There were no disagreements with management as part of our engagement. We do request a written representation letter from management or administration, and that's included in the document as well, so you can see what they're signing off and what they're representing to us as the auditors. And it also identifies that there were no additional fees for non-audit services outside of those within our engagement letter. Next page on the presentation, some key statistics for government-wide. This is full accrual for the village. Total net position was $10.3 million. That's broken out into governmental activities of $3.8 million and business-type activities of $6.5 million on the net position or the equity of the village. The increase or decrease in net position overall for the village as a whole was $380,000 increase. broken out as a governmental increase of $482,000 and a business-type activities loss of $102,000. Again, on the governmental activity side, that's full accrual, so that takes into account depreciation and long-term debt and those sorts of things, as well as the changes in pension and OPEB plans. The general fund had an ending fund balance of $1.42 million. 1.344 of that is unassigned, so that's a good unassigned fund balance. That's approximately 57% of general fund expenditures plus transfers out. That's one of the metrics to monitor is for fund balance, what percentage of it is the operating expenditures plus the transfers out for the general fund. So you want to keep an eye on that as those charged with governance. Other governmental funds had a fund balance of a little over $4 million. There was an overall increase in the general fund balance of $141,000. No funds were in a deficit fund balance. And at year end, the pension is 68% funded and OPEB is 23% funded. On the water and sewer side, again, that had a fund net position of $6.472 million. Had operating income of $168,000, so core operations. The overall change in net position was a loss of $102,000. The biggest difference between operating income and change in net position is interest expense there. And then water and sewer fund had net cash from operations on the cash flow statement of $158,000. So the core operations of the water and sewer fund generated positive cash flow of $158,000. That's another key metric to keep an eye on. Our management letter had one significant deficiency and no material weaknesses, and it relates to recording activity for the newly issued water and sewer system bond. So there was a different fund that was used versus how accounting standards should have said it would be recorded, so that's been corrected in the financials before you. And that wraps up some of those key statistics, the core financial statements, and the overall results of our audit. Again, very good results. We did identify one issue, but that's compared to a lot more issues that we identified last year, so it's going in the right direction. We had very good cooperation from administration as part of our engagement. All the information that we requested, we got timely, so it really worked out pretty well. Are there any questions?
Mr. Lamb.
Once again, I've seen you a few times now, and I appreciate you going through the entire books of the village to see if they were counting the money properly. They do a pretty good job. What I really like about the village's accounting system is the fact that they can't erase anything. Mm-hmm. I thought that was great because I asked Mr. McCleary, why are all these reversing journal entries in here? He says, because they have to be.
Yep.
So I appreciate that you went through all of that. There's thousands. So I had a couple of questions about the financial highlights and whatnot. And it says here that the village's governmental funds reported combined ending fund balances of $5,421,000. Is that cash?
Not necessarily. That's a fund balance, so that's assets less fund liabilities.
Okay, so is there any depreciation in there?
At the fund balance level, no, there's not.
Okay.
That's what's called a modified accrual reporting. So for modified accrual, if the village buys a capital asset, that's recognized as an expenditure versus a full accrual where you'd capitalize and depreciate it.
Okay, that's interesting. Then it says here that out of that $5,421,000, there's $1.3 million available that it's not assigned to be spent. So is that the money the village needs to have as a float so they can pay their people if the tax money doesn't come in? Or is that just surplus capital? Is that just surplus cash in the fund balances? How would you look at that?
That's a great question. So for the governmental funds, and if you look within the financial statements on page, the hard copy in front of you, you can see that some of the governmental funds on page 13. The general fund is essentially the default fund of the village, if you will, where all of the day-to-day operations are accounted for. The majority of operating property taxes comes into the general fund, as well as some other types of just general government activities for supporting the citizens of the village. All of the other funds are funds like special revenue funds, debt service funds. Within the other column, there's the Cemetery Perpetual Care Fund. All of those funds have specific purposes. And since those funds have a specific purpose, the fund balance for each of those funds is flagged as restricted or committed because those dollars can only be used for that purpose of that fund. Versus the general fund is the only one that has an unassigned fund balance of the 1.34 million. That's essentially, to your point, Mr. Lamb, the float, if you will. And that's one of those key metrics to monitor is unassigned fund balance as a percentage of expenditures on the general fund. So if you flip 2 pages back, you can see in that first column on page 15, the general fund had total expenditures of 1.343 million, but also had transfers out to other funds of a little over $1 million, 1,000,250. So if you look at what is the liquidity of the general fund to be able to fund those operations in the event there's a fall off in revenues, that's really what that metric gets to.
Great, because I understand we need to have some money in the checking account to pay the bills, is how I look at it. The other, all right, back to the page 4. And then we have, so we talked about the 1.3 million excess funds, unassigned funds. We found out what those aren't necessarily not just free to spend. We just can't spend those. They may be needed to like pay a bill. We're going to look at this, approximately 48% of the total amount, 2,588,000 is restricted for capital project. Now, I was looking over on page 13, and there's this fund called Debt Service Fund, which I'm not familiar with. What is that debt service fund? Is that within the village's operations?
That represents the bond that was issued for the DDA improvements for the lumberyard project.
Yeah.
And so those dollars are restricted for capital projects, and there's a debt associated with that. So that's in a debt service fund to fund those projects.
Okay, so as of the end of last year, the DDA out of their bond money had $2.5 million left, and that money is restricted to be used on that specific bond lumberyard project. Okay.
Correct.
Great. It's really great having these numbers. So moving on to page number 7. Page number 7, we have a number down here that says total liabilities of $17,167,000. Those are the total debt of the village and the DDA combined? Is that the total debt? Bonds, water bonds, sewer bonds, that's actual real money owed by the village?
Along with pension and OPEB.
Yeah, okay, yes, so every year we talk about that.
Yep.
Okay, so the village is currently in debt 17 million, of which we share a portion of that with the DDA. Great. I think that's about wrapping up my, how much money do we have and,
Sure.
how much do we owe? That's always mine. Okay, about it. So actually on page 6, page 10, so at the end of 2025, the DDA's debt would be then the $4,535,000. And then the village, independent of the DDA's debt, is the $9,021,000.
Correct.
Correct?
And the $9,021,000 is essentially water and sewer system debt.
Yeah. And then what was the general revenues of the village? And what was the total general revenue of the village in that year?
So if you look on page, if you look on page 15, the governmental funds had total revenues of $3.98 million. That does not include water and sewer there. So $3.98 million for the governmental funds, and then the water and sewer fund had total revenue of, on page 18, total operating revenues of 2.47.
2.47, general fund. Okay, so does that include the DDA funds?
That does not include the DDA.
Okay, so the village total revenues were 2.359 million?
Well, the village, so that the
Just the
village.
general fund, general fund.
Just the general fund was 2.359, correct, yes.
Okay, and then the police fund, the revenues were 578,000, that's from the millage?
Correct, the bulk of it, yes.
And then the police fund, the total, so the police got another 500,000 approximately from the general fund.
Correct.
Okay. So the police millage doesn't pay for the whole police fund, correct? Yeah, so, okay. So 2.3 million, that's the 2.359 is the village's total revenue in that year, okay. All right. Let's see. I got it. I think that's what I wanted to hear. So
Okay.
I appreciate you putting these numbers here, we can just see them.
Sure.
And I really like the debt schedule in the back where you can find all the bond debts and how much we owe for each bond and for what thing and what interest rate. And I think it's great. It takes a few years to figure out how to read this thing, okay?
Yes, it does.
But, I think I'm on it now. So thank you so much for your report, and that's all the questions I have.
Okay.
Other council questions or comments? Just a quick, when Mr. Lamb was asking about the unassigned balance, what is typically considered a percentage that you want to have,
Yeah.
the target percentage?
You don't want to go below 2 months. That's a minimum. You have to put an asterisk next to that 2 months number and say, look at timing of cash flows. So when does the majority of the cash flow come into the village, and how long at year end do you have to float that? Because there's ups and downs throughout the year. You get a bulk of cash when the property taxes are levied and collected, and then cash goes up and cash goes down, so you have to be able to monitor that. 2 months is the minimum. 50 to 60% is a pretty good overall
Okay.
number.
So we're right in that target range.
You're right in that,
Okay.
yeah. Yep.
Are there any public questions or comments on our audit report? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to receive and file. Oh, wait, you wanted to, sorry, first of all.
Okay, so we did have one significant deficiency, as Greg had mentioned. So last year, the village had received the water and sewer revenue bond. We had created a separate fund to monitor and track those expenditures and revenues. However, we found out during the audit procedure that because we received monies from the water and sewer fund to help with that it actually needed to be in the 592, which is the water and sewer fund. Once we established that, we did work with the auditors, and we have transferred the monies out of that fund that we had created, which was the 390, if anybody looked at our revenue and expenditure report. And now it is allocated in the 592 fund, and we have performed the correct budget amendments, and we have marked the fund inactive. So it should not show up on a revenue expenditure report.
And the factor that affected that is the bond was a revenue bond that was issued that was secured by future revenues of the water and sewer fund and used to fund water and sewer system improvements. So because that's a revenue bond versus a general obligation bond of the village backed by the full faith and credit, it's appropriate to record that in the water sewer fund. Everything is all in that same fund. If it were a general obligation bond to fund building improvements for Village Hall or whatever it might be, then putting it in a capital projects fund and tracking it into debt service fund, like was done with the DDA bond, would be appropriate in that case.
I would just like to say, Sonia, I really appreciate your addressing this promptly and professionally. I think typically we associate an audit with, negative connotations. And I think to take the feedback of the audit and look at it from a constructive standpoint of how can we improve upon our processes, I think is exactly, in the vein that we ought to take the audit. And I really appreciate the way that you've handled this and very concise report back to council. But I appreciate that very much, so thank you.
Thank you.
And from our perspective, the response was appropriate. Everything that, any issues or questions that we identified throughout our engagement are promptly responded to. Management takes things very seriously, which is really good to see. Okay.
Thank you. I'll make the motion to receive and file the audited financial statements and other supplementary information for the Village of Lake Orion for the year ended June 30, 2025.
Support.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, call to the public. Each person wishing to address the Village Council shall be afforded an opportunity to do so. If you wish to comment, please stand, raise your hand to indicate you wish to speak. When recognized, give your name and address, direct your comments to the chair, and comments are limited to 4 minutes. Is there anyone for call to the public on a non-agenda item? Yeah.
I'm Jason Lewandowski, 152 Bellevue. So I'm here, I heard the term code enforcement, zoning enforcement earlier, so this is kind of pertaining to that. I am concerned about some of the ambiguity in relation to some of the interpretation of the ordinance, village ordinance. Specifically, I'm concerned with the ordinance for mechanical units. In this case, I have a Generac being installed in the adjacent property to me. And between our properties, there's probably less than 12 foot at the widest point between our houses. So my initial concern is, if we look at the original permitting, knowing that we have a tight space already there, it's going to be nearly impossible to achieve the zoning requirement. And the zoning requirement is very simple. It's just 10 feet from any window on an adjacent structure and 55 decibels for noise and screening from the road and from the neighbor's view. Like I say, I don't know how we would ever meet 10 foot. If you look at a 2D plot of our properties, and if you place the Generac unit, you would never be able to meet that 10 foot looking at a 2D with our windows. And those windows include my first story and my basement windows. The zoning requirement makes no differentiation, it just says windows. And in both cases, I have operatable windows. I went out on the 5th and measured, and in both cases, for my basement window and my first story window, I was well under 10 feet. I guess my concern is we've gone back and forth between hearing that the unit was approved, not approved, approved, approved. I know the unit's been moved several times. I guess I don't know why the permit even was allowed when we're narrowly trying to fit it in, trying to put a square peg into a square peg into a round hole. I mean, it's just not going to work there. So I don't know why it was approved in the first place. And then, like I say, 1 minute we're measuring, I'm with Officer Hammond, zoning enforcement, and he couldn't get 10 feet either. A few days later, we hear, oh, it was approved. I was like, how is it approved? Oh, we measured from the window to the base. So I've never heard that, and anything that I look at as far as measuring in this type of a scenario, you're not measuring from a base. You're measuring from the nearest point of the obstructing device or whatever it might be to the window. If you had a 5-foot exhaust pipe on there, would you still be measuring from the base to the window or from the exhaust pipe to the window? So that whole base idea doesn't match. And I guess the biggest point is, we're told permit issuance does not confirm, full ordinance satisfaction, yet the unit's connected to the grid. It might be red light on it, but it's connected, and it's connected to the gas. So I don't understand how something can be approved or not approved and then still be connected to the grid. The unit's run several times. Like I say, I just don't understand the whole approval process, and how that's all being policed right now. So that's my concern. Thanks for hearing me.
Yeah, thank you. And I'd encourage you, to continue to connect with our village administration with questions regarding the ordinances and
Thank you.
ordinance enforcement. Anyone else for call to the public on a non-agenda item?
Good evening. My name's Nadine Hatton. I'm not certain if this is the right procedure or protocol. If it's not, please inform me. I reside at 125 Evergreen Trail. I've inherited that property from my mother. I do want to share with you all that as a resident of Lake Orion, that I am going to be a candidate for the Oakland County Circuit Court Judge. So I wanted to let you know that one of your neighbors, one of your fellow citizens is running for Circuit Court Judge. I also want to share with you that I was born and raised in Oakland County, that I am a referee at the court right now. I handle juvenile and neglect matters, and I am a former high school teacher. I taught high school in Detroit Public Schools for 15 years. I was a special prosecutor for DHHS. That meant that the current prosecutor, Karen McDonald, was conflicted out, and DHHS handpicked me to serve as their special prosecutor. I owned and managed my own law firm, defense firm, for over 12 years until I accepted the position as a referee at the court, which I've been a referee at the court for 4 years. I was also a magistrate in Hazel Park for 3 years before I assumed my position as the referee. I was awarded Teacher of the Year, and I have been recognized by the Circuit Court, the very court that I'm seeking a seat for Attorney of the Year for my representation of children and family. A little bit more about me. I have a bachelor's degree from the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. I earned my master's in education from Wayne State. I attended school part-time while I continued to work as a teacher. I earned my Juris Doctorate from Wayne State, again attending school part-time while I worked as a teacher. I have a master's degree in law, so I have an LLM in criminal defense from California Western. I hold a certificate of mediation from the state of Michigan, and I'm also licensed to or authorized to appear before the Supreme Court, so I have Supreme Court admission. I just wanted to share that with you so that you'll know that one of your own residents is seeking and running for Circuit Court Judge. Thank you.
Could I,
Yes, sir.
I don't hear well. What's your name again, please?
Nadine, Nadine, last name Hatton, Hatten. So think of hat that you wear on top of your head and the number 10, Hatton.
Thank you. Sorry to.
No, that's fine. Thank you. And thank you for your time.
Is there anyone else for call to the public on a non-agenda item? Seeing none, I will close call to the public. Item number 6, approval of the agenda by order of the president. No matters will be discussed after 9:30 p.m. unless the council votes to continue the meeting. Yes, Mr. Lamb.
Do we want to add anything to the agenda?
I don't,
Our earlier
Yeah.
discussions were so prolonged.
Yeah.
No, okay.
I don't think so.
I move to approve the agenda.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Lamb, support by Mr. Danielides. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7, consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are approved by one vote. We have item A, approval of Village Council special meeting minutes, January 26, 2026. Item B, approval of Village Council regular meeting minutes, January 26, 2026. Item C, receive and file of ad hoc legal services committee minutes of December 15, 2025. Item D, approval of ad hoc legal services committee minutes of February 3, 2026. Item E, receive and file planning commission regular meeting minutes of December 1st, 2025. Item F, approval of interlocal agreement, Oakland County P25 simulcast radio system. G, receive and file the invoice distribution report for February 10, 2026. Item H, receive and file financial statements, January 2026. Item I, receive and file December 2025 and 2026 planning and zoning monthly report by McKenna. Item J, receive and file investment report, December 2025. Item K, receive and file January 2026 police department activity report. Item L, approval of special event Art and Flower Fair, and item M, Downtown Development Authority Board appointment. Council.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
So
I think-
I'd like to pull item M, Downtown Development Authority Board appointment, please.
Yep. Anything else? Then I'll move to approve the consent agenda with item M removed for discussion.
Support.
We have a motion and support. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Dandelides.
Thank you. I don't know if Todd Garris is in the,
He was not able to make it today.
okay,
Let me know.
thank you. I personally, I haven't met him, but I just wanted to say that I did have the opportunity to call him and have a good conversation. I think he's going to be a great add to the DDA board, and I appreciate him raising his hand and volunteering to help take some of the heat.
Yeah.
So I do think he's going to be a good add, so I appreciate him volunteering.
Yeah, he apologized that he couldn't be here tonight because he has a class that he's taking on Monday nights right now.
Okay, so with that, there's no more discussion. I guess I move that we appoint Todd Garris per the recommendation here.
I'll support. You comment?
Yeah, since it's, we're talking about the DDA board and appointments and things like that nature, I still feel that the board appointments in our village should be done on a more applicant-based basis and less on the, we should probably still consider changing our rules to encourage applicant basis. The other thing, since we had the audit report and, the DDA's audited with us and, not much look. What I've noticed is we don't really have any oversight of the DDA, and there's no real financial oversight. There's no administrative oversight. Our village manager provides zero oversight of the DDA. The clerk provides some oversight of their day-to-day spending, like checkbook stuff, and but we have no oversight or control. And as we continue to appoint new members and reappoint the old members, I think the council this year should seriously consider moving, since we're such a tiny little community and we have such a desire to combine and make more efficient all of our organizations. I think we should do like many small communities have done, and we should reorganize the DDA board to combine them with the planning commission. And then we might actually get some plans out of them that are worth something. So that's my comment with regard to the new person. I haven't met him, and I'm going to vote to accept him because he's the only applicant. We haven't met him, and I'm going to rely on Teresa's recommendation and hold you responsible if he, steals all the money or something. Since I have no choice, so I will then.
Well, you can hold me responsible too, because I spoke with them, and I fully support the recommendation.
And just for the public, it's in the council packet, but he is the owner of Motor City Granite in town here. He has previously served on the planning commission in the township, and so has experience with that and is eager to learn and get up to speed on all the different parts of what happens in the local community. So, and learning village council, DDA, town, all the things. So I'm grateful for him stepping up to serve. Any other council comments, public comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 10A, Legal Services Contract, Gianmarco, Mullins, and Horton PC. Mr. McCleary.
Your Honor, members of council, the Ad hoc Legal Services Review Committee is recommending that council approve a contract for legal services with Gianmarco, Mullins, and Horton PC, or GMH, as presented. The proposed contract reflects changes made during the committee's negotiations held with the firm on February 3rd, pursuant to council's direction. I have confirmed with current village attorney Kucharik that the transition to the new firm may occur at any time and that the transition should occur as soon as possible. If the contract is approved, GMH will begin its work with the village tomorrow. And Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to introduce to you John Clark of GMH, who is in attendance, to introduce himself and the firm and to answer any questions that council may have.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And good evening, everybody. A pleasure to meet all of you. Some of you we've met through the committee process. My name is John Clark. I'm a senior partner with the law firm of G. Markle, Mullins & Horton in Troy. I've been with the firm since 1995. I chair our municipal group, which is comprised of 9 attorneys, all very capable, all in the area, and we know this area very well. And we look forward to the opportunity of working with you, hopefully for a very long relationship. You do have the contract before you, pretty basic contract, no fancy terms. It's a 30-day out. If you love us, keep us forever. If you don't, we'll hopefully fix it or move on. So we want to keep things simple. That's the way we like it. And we look forward to working with the administration moving forward. So I'm here to answer any questions on the contract generally or just about the firm. If anybody has any questions I could address.
Question about the transition. So if it's tomorrow, does that mean all projects that our current attorney firm is working on will transfer over tomorrow? Or is there a sunset out on those projects before handing off?
I am not aware of anything that our current village attorney is working on that cannot be transitioned to the new firm.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Lamb?
So I'm going to take this opportunity to make the motion to approve the contract for legal services. I'm happy with the language present in the minute, in our agenda, and I've reviewed the contract. But I'd like to add to my motion that at the same time, I would like to revise our rules of procedure to remove the offending prohibition on council members contacting the village attorney who works for them, and allowing the special privileges of the village council president and the village council pro tem to have access to the village attorney. I've told you before, the whole council on several occasions, I believe this is inappropriate, and the passing of that revision to our rules was done in an extremely heated political time where it was desirous to limit council access to attorneys. That being said, if there's support for my motion, I have a question or two for the attorney.
So could you restate your motion just so it's all in one?
Basically, to approve the contract and then remove the second to last revision to the council rules that you're all familiar with in the village.
Is there support?
Support.
Thank you. John, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you, sir.
I lived and did business in the city of Troy for 40 years. I never encountered your firm professionally, thank goodness, big firm. But I've been in the building. I've seen, I know other people that have worked with you and for you. And our committee did an outstanding job of selecting you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So I noticed in your contract that it says if the village council people want to call you up and ask you a quick question, that you won't charge us for the first 15 minutes.
That's correct.
I think that's great. That's about as long as I think any question should be. So if a village council person were to call you up with a question that took longer than 15 minutes and required you to expend some resources, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that because it's over the time limit, that there would be a charge associated with that consultation.
Great, so that would be great. And then the village council members aren't authorized to expend village resources without the approval of the entire council. So at that point, the conversation would end. Thank you. I'm sorry to put you on the hot seat. I think that any village council member should be able to call you about this agenda packet and say, well, on page 6, it says such and such. Is that something I should be worried about? Or we should be able to call you and say, I think I saw the village manager stealing money out of the cookie jar. Is that something I should report? You know, there are certain discretionary and special things that a village council person may encounter, and I think to have a trusted confidant and the attorney-client privilege access is important for us. So I understand it's a policy question.
Mr. Ford?
Yeah, I'm fully in support of the contract. I'm not sure I care for the additional part of that motion. You say it's a special thing for us to have the ability to contact the attorney. My thought process is eliminate that, period. And I think that anytime the attorney needs to be, if there's a question on here, I think that it needs to come before all 7 of us so that we can vote on whether we want to continue in that vein and have the village manager then contact the attorney. The 15-minute thing still be in place. I'm just not in favor of the motion the way it's stated.
Mr. Dandelides?
Yeah, I think that I think these are 2 separate and distinct topics, and I think that they should be separate discussions, and I will be voting no on this motion for that reason. I support the contract, and I may or may not support the addition, but I think that they're separate and they deserve separate discussions.
So we had this discussion back on October 13th, where this council voted to uphold the restriction. So part of the reason is that the council as a whole is the client of the attorney, not individual council members. And we have talked, and there were members of the community who had also come in and supported that restriction. We talk about transparency a lot. We've talked about, let's make these goals and objectives in front of the camera. Let's make it transparency. So when unrecorded conversations are had, it leads to issues of transparency and accountability. I could call the attorney and say, and have a conversation and come up here and say, well, the attorney said, or I talked to the attorney, and that happened before with previous councils. And if we want to be fully transparent, this council as a whole is the client. It is not individual council members. And I think it can put our attorney in an ethical dilemma. I understand they abide by high ethical standards. It also preserves and protects the client privilege communications as well. We went over all of these, and it's efficient use of resources, even with 15-minute no-charge window. Imagine the lack of efficiency if every single council member is now calling for 14 minutes all the time on their, whatever it is. That's why, another reason why the council as a whole and not individuals are the clients. And the policy was adopted for a reason, to go back to just anybody can call, reduces transparency, and opens, I think, us up to more liability. And like I said, October 13th, we already voted on this just 3 months ago. And it keeps coming up for why, I don't know. But I also will be voting no, because I do not believe that that motion should be tied to approving legal services. Any other council comments? Any public comments?
Yeah, I'd make my second comment to you. I'll just refresh your memories. Supposedly, the original change was made to the rules in order to save money. Had nothing to do with any of the items that you mentioned, Teresa, absolutely none of them.
That does.
Okay, it was all about the money, because Jerry and Ken were chatting it up with Mary, and, okay, I made a couple of calls, but I wasn't by no means the high guy. I think I made 2 calls that year. I really don't understand why you people struggle with this. For the last 50 years, or however long this village has been in existence, the village council individually or en masse have been able to contact the village attorney. And then all of a sudden, 2 years ago, you people changed it. I love names. I love using stuff like good old boys and you people. So I would like to change it back. And what was really special about this attorney's contract was they understood that, and they give you free consultations, because they realize that, there's going to be a lot of serious work here, and it's important to have a relationship with people and people to talk a little bit or ask questions. And, I guess the rest of you people don't get involved enough in reading the law and studying public policy to understand there's serious legal questions that come before a village council person or a township board person or a mayor person that requires some little bit of legal expertise. And quite often, these things, we don't talk about stuff in public, right? Do we talk about all the stuff in public? We're not talking about this paper we got from Darwin today. We're not talking about in public. So whatever your purposes are, whatever your suppression is, or whatever your desire to control this community is, I don't agree. Thank you.
Yes.
Rosemary Ford, 225 North Broadway. I have a quick question in reference to what is being discussed. So if any of you on the council were to call this attorney, which you're allowed 15 minutes, hopefully they'll have a timer on, but if they were to call, then is that made public to the rest of the council as to what was discussed? And is it made public to the public? Because if it's a thing where you're looking at items and you're trying to find something for your own purpose of understanding something, I think that it should be noted through the attorney, or I would hope that then it would have to be shared with the rest of the council. And the other thing I'm concerned with is when I hear this, is that I'm afraid that people are going to be calling them every time you turn around for every little thing. And I'm not trying to take away from it, because they might have valid questions, but it could get to where it's a little out of hand. Yes, they are available to you, but I think it can be done through other channels. I don't know that it should be an individual thing when you're when you're supposed to be working as a whole. Or are you looking for answers so that you would have it for your purpose when you come to the council meeting, which could be very well, but it just doesn't seem like it's a thing that can be taken lightly. So that's just my thought on it. Thank you.
Any other members of the public? None? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Papachek.
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb.
Yes.
Councilmember Comparoni.
No.
Councilmember Dendelitis.
No.
President Rudd.
No.
Councilmember Mosher.
Yes.
Pro Tem Ford.
No.
Motion fails.
I'll move to approve the contract for legal services between the Village of Lake Orion and Gianmarco Mullins and Horton PC of Troy, Michigan as presented, and authorize the village manager to execute the contract on behalf of the village.
Support.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, Children's Park, and thank you for being here. Item B, Children's Park Pedestrian Bridge Replacement Design and Construction Engineering Services, NFE, Mr. McCleary.
Talk to you sometime.
Your Honor, members of council, I want to note that you received the revised background brief and documents. The revision was just a later version of the proposal. The cost change was negligible, but I did realize after an email that a later proposal had been submitted to my office. I wanted to make sure you were approving the right one. Council is scheduled to consider adopting the proposal from NFE for design and engineering services for the Children's Park Pedestrian Bridge Replacement Project. The scope of services include completion of a topographic survey, preparation of construction and bidding documents, preparation and submission of the required Part 301 and 303 and Part 31 permit application to Eagle, and performance of construction inspection services and processing of contractor pay estimates. The project is included in the village's 2025-26 capital improvement program.
Thank you.
And our engineer is available tonight to answer any questions you may have regarding this proposal.
Council. I guess I have a couple questions. As I look at this, I see $15,500 for construction and bidding documents, and I'm looking at the fee schedule, and I'm thinking, okay, outside of, the three-man survey crew, $150 an hour is, the highest paid personnel. So $15,500, that's 103 hours of work. It's 2.5 hours of full-time work for one person. Is that accurate to prepare construction and bidding documents?
It is very accurate.
There's a lot more to the job than just preparing the drawings, of course. It's having to meet all the ADA requirements. There may even be a little bit of sidewalk work being done, just putting together a spec book, all of that. It takes a good 150 to 200 hours.
And so it does say under the bidding, the construction and bidding documents as well, that includes sub-consultants for information. How much work do they put in
The
to?
sub-consultant is actually the geotechnical investigation.
I'm on 298. And
Pardon me?
And 300.
Yes, the geotechnical investigation is, and you'll, well, if the proposal is accepted, you will see them out taking soil borings, and then they have to do the structural design for the abutments. The abutments are going to be placed outside the old abutments, similar to what was done on the Meeks Bridge. That work had already been done when we took over as the village engineers. HRC had done it at the time, but there's the structural design that's necessary for that also, and that's what the sub-consultant will be doing.
And I think I read in here, I don't remember which page it was, maybe 297. Is it going to be in the exact same place? Because it says new foundations located behind. So is that just lengthening it and putting it behind? So
Correct.
the bridge will be in the same place?
So that we're not disturbing those abutments that are already
Okay.
in place.
How much will that require then reworking the sidewalk in Children's Park?
Correct,
as
that's what I
well
was
as-
saying. In order to meet Americans with Disability Act requirements, there may be a little bit of work to not exceed the 5% slope coming off the bridge.
Okay, and then they'll end up being parking lot work as well, because it'll
Correct.
extend into there.
Correct, and the bridge will be raised slightly. Currently, well, not currently, occasionally, the floodwaters do hit that bridge, and so the new bridge will be raised slightly.
Okay. Could you tell me how much what is slightly, like 6 inches or?
Off the top of my
Okay.
head, I do not remember
Okay.
the difference between the low chord right now and the 100-year or the base flood elevation, but we will certainly be above the base flood elevation, and
Okay.
it currently is not.
Okay. And then those.
I can get that exact
Yeah, and
number
then the
to you, though.
existing ones, sorry, I'm just processing out, the existing footings and everything will remain there. They won't be taken out. It'll just
Right.
be new ones on the
Right.
the other side. Okay, so it doesn't widen the bank at all there?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. That, they will remain in place largely because if you were to remove them, then we would maybe run
Yeah.
into some bank stabilization issues. And so the point is to keep them there, as well as there is a middle piece that the intent is to keep that there for more stability on the bridge.
Okay. Mr. Lim?
Hi. I have a couple of questions. Is the bottle jack going to be kept to put in the Lake Orion Museum? That's what's holding the bridge up now, right? The bottle jack that's been there for 15, 20 years.
The one in the middle?
Yeah, there's a bottle jack under the bridge.
Yeah, there is, that's right.
The construction engineering, it said there's $1,850 for lump sum fee, staking, administration, $9,600. Then it says construction inspection, and then it says total estimated construction fee. Is that total estimated construction engineering?
That was on the old one. We didn't have a total estimated fee. Right now, the total estimated fee without the inspection was $45,200, and we estimated the construction inspection to be around $1,950.
Okay, so the 13,400 was that
Correct.
estimated construction inspection amount was included, but it wasn't written
Correct.
here. That's what I was curious about, so that was the only open-ended thing. From my knowledge of these things, this looks like a reasonable cost and charge for the design services and the field work that needs to be done.
I think the Eagle permit will be a little tricky on this one, too, so.
I think you're gonna spend a lot of time, yeah, emailing and phone and everything, yeah. And those permits are not short.
No.
I just recently applied for one. It's laborious and tedious. So I'd be happy to move to approve, where's the motion?
Page 293.
293, a lot of pages in this document tonight, hundreds, 293. Let's see.
There's two separate motions.
Yes, so I'll make motion one to approve the budget amendment to provide supplemental appropriations of $20,950 from the general fund to the capital projects fund for design and construction engineering services related to the 2026 Children's Park pedestrian bridge replacement project.
Support.
Any other council questions or comments? Any public questions, comments? Do we need a roll call for that? Thank you.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosher?
Yes.
President Rudd?
Yes.
Councilmember Danielides?
Yes?
Councilmember Papachek?
Yes.
Pro Tem Ford?
Yes.
Councilmember Comparoni?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
So
Mr.
I'll go ahead and make the second motion to accept the proposal for services from Noack and Frous Engineers dated July 23rd, 2025, in the total amount of $45,950 for design and construction engineering services related to the Children's Park pedestrian bridge replacement project, and to authorize the village manager to execute the acceptance and approval of the proposal on behalf of the village.
You gave the wrong date. This is the new revised one, so it's November 18th, 2025 is the dated.
Okay, I'll revise
And
my motion.
45,200 is the number.
Yeah, 45,200, you were reading the old one.
I'll revise my motion to, oh, I'm sorry. To state that.
Support. Any other questions, comments on the proposal? Public comments, questions? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Comparoni?
Yes.
Councilmember Danielides?
Yes?
Councilmember Papachek?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Pro Tem Ford?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosher?
Yes.
President Rudd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll just park up here for a
Right.
while.
Item C, pavement asset management plan, PAMP update, NFE, Mr. McCleary.
Council is scheduled to consider accepting a proposal from Noack and Frous Engineers to complete an update to the village's pavement asset management plan, or PAMP, and to submit the plan to the Michigan Transportation Asset Management Council, or TAMC, for approval. While the village maintains less than 100 miles of roads and is not required by law to prepare and submit a PAMP, doing so will allow the village to transfer up to 100% of Act 51 Major Street Fund monies to the Local Streets Fund for street improvements. As council is aware, local streets, we receive much less in funding, so we need to be able to transfer funds from major streets to local streets to accomplish our goals. Local streets comprise 8.85 miles of the village's 11.59 miles of roads, but the Major Streets Fund receives considerably more Act 51 funding. Currently, the village is limited to a maximum 50% transfer between major streets and local streets. This greater flexibility will assist the village in completing its comprehensive multi-year street capital improvement program. And, Your Honor, we're asking for two motions. The first one is to approve the budget amendments, and the second is to accept the proposal.
Thank you. Council.
Move to approve.
Well, there's two separate motions again.
Yep, I'm digging them out here.
Page 306.
Yep, I'm getting to page 306.
301.
Yeah, 301. right?
Yeah, it's not
Oh.
306. 306 is the book.
Oh, it's 306 on online version.
Shame on you. Motion number one, to adopt budget amendment number BA 2026-20201 and BA 2026-20302 to provide supplemental appropriations totaling $7,600 for engineering services related to the update of the village's pavement assessment management plan and submission of the same to the Michigan Transportation Asset Management Council for consideration for approval.
Support.
We have motion and support. Other council questions, comments? Any public comments? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Mosher?
Yes.
President Rudd?
Yes.
Councilmember Danielides?
Yes?
Councilmember Papachek?
Yes.
Pro Tem Ford?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Comparoni?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion 2, to accept the proposal for services from Noack and Frost Engineers dated January 28, 2026, in the amount of $7,600 for the update and finalization of the Village of Lake Orion Pavement Asset Management Plan, and to authorize the village manager to execute the acceptance and approval of the proposal on behalf of the village.
Support.
Council questions, comments? Public questions or comments? Roll call, please.
President Rutt?
Yes.
Councilmember Papachak?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosher?
Yes.
Councilmember Camperoni?
Yes.
Pro Tem Ford?
Yes.
Councilmember Danielides?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. When is that going to be completed? Sorry if I missed that. Just curious. When that will be completed, the PAMP updated?
I'm trying to remember if she put a schedule in there.
Sorry, I had that question after we voted.
I believe as soon as possible because you're going to want to allocate those funds.
Okay.
So we'll get right on it.
All right, thank you. Item D, 2026 Street Improvement Program Design, Construction, Engineering Services, NFE. Mr. McCleary.
Council is scheduled to consider accepting a proposal from NFE relating to design and construction engineering services for the 2026 Street Improvement Program. The 2026 program entails the improvement of streets within 2 sub-districts. One district encompasses the original Transportation Economic Development Fund grant project, while the second includes additional streets added by the village council within the same general neighborhood. The details of the project are outlined in NFE's proposal, as well as the cost analysis presented to council in December. The scope of work includes performance of a geotechnical and pavement investigation of the project through testing engineers and consultants, including increasing the number of tests from 9 to 10, completion of a topographic survey, preparation of construction and bidding documents, and performance of construction engineering services and assistance with the TEDF grant implementation. I do want to note that this requires actually 3 actions. The first is to amend the village's 2025-2031 capital improvement plan to add the additional scope of work to the project. The second is to accept the proposal for professional services from NFE. And then at your next meeting, we will be presenting budget amendments because this is a somewhat complicated project and we want to make sure we don't end up with the same situation we had with the audit report, and that if we need to incorporate it into the Act 51 funds, we will do that. If we're able to set up a separate project fund for this or accommodate it through the 401 capital improvement fund, we will do so, but we need to clarify that before we present those budget amendments to you.
Thank you. Council.
I'll make the motion, number 1, to amend, excuse me, the 2025-2031 Village of Lake Orion Capital Improvement Plan to include the expanded scope and costs of the 2026 Street Improvement Program as presented.
Support.
Do you have any comments on it? Stan, you made the motion first.
No.
Okay, Mr. Lamb.
Just a brief comment.
Yep.
So this is going to be one of the largest paving programs the village has entertained in some time. And I noticed we had a little bit of a bumpy start with our sidewalk improvement plan. It worked out great. So I just want to take this time. I think we should form another one of our wonderful oversight committees and form a brief committee to provide a little bit of oversight into the, it's going to involve the first implementation of our policy on special assessments. It's going to involve, numerous local, major and minor roads. It's going to be really complex, and I think it might be useful to have some council watching over the initial launch of the project. But that's not part of this motion.
Right. I'm just curious as to what that would look like and, what oversight or how,
Well,
what you have in mind with that.
Oh, the discussion, so, we have our assessment policy, and there's certain elements of it about the who's end road, dead end road, things like that. How are we going to charge the people we have some fund transfers, we have some public money, and then we have different layers of the project. Like, for instance, some of the roads are completely replaced and other parts are overlays. So I'm not really sure how they're going to address all this, and I see many questions coming up. So I would just like to be able to meet and discuss frankly with the village manager, with a committee, just to talk about this stuff. And then if there's something that needs to be done, we could make a recommendation to the council. So that would be the point. And yeah, that would be the point. So I think that's good. There's a lot of community input. It's going to be really active. There's a lot of homes. There's a third of our residents live within the scope of the project. I think we need to be in touch with this project, so.
Other comments on the motion to amend the capital improvement plan to expand, to include the expanded scope and costs? Public input? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion number 2, to accept the proposal for professional services from Noack and Frost Engineers dated January 8th, 2026 for engineering services related to the 2026 pavement improvements in the total amount of $134,640, plus construction, staking, and construction inspection fees, and to authorize the village manager to execute the acceptance and approval of the proposal on behalf of the village.
Support.
Council questions, comments? Public questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Comparoni?
Yes.
Councilmember Danielidis?
Yes.
Pro Tem Ford?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosher?
Yes.
President Ritt?
Yes.
Councilmember Papachek?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item E, 2026 Sidewalk Improvement Program, District Number 2, Design and Construction.
I was going to say, before we move on, do we want to address the committee that,
If you'd like to, if you're in favor, we could do it now.
I just,
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. I think I would like, maybe for the next meeting, when we have the budget amendments, maybe include it with that, just so
Could
there's
we-
a little bit more clear, just a little bit more defined what the purpose and scope of,
Okay, that's fine with
Yeah.
me. Is the rest
Yeah.
of you guys okay with that?
yeah.
So next
The
meeting?
clerk will note that that'll
Yeah.
be on the next agenda.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, George.
Yeah. So item E, 2026 Sidewalk Improvement Program, District Number 2, Design and Construction Engineering Services. Mr. McCleary.
Council is scheduled to consider accepting the proposal from NFE relating to the year 2026 Sidewalk Improvement Program, District Number 2. The proposal includes costs to complete the design and construction engineering work for sidewalk gaps for District Number 1, but the village has determined that sidewalk gaps will be considered beginning with year 4 of our sidewalk improvement program to allow us to get through one complete cycle first. The recommended scope of work includes updating the contract and bid documents, bid process, and contract award for District Number 2, contract administration for District Number 2, and construction inspection and testing for District Number 2. The sidewalk improvement program is funded through special assessments against benefiting properties, except that the village is responsible for the cost of replacement of intersection handicap ramps. The council will begin the special assessment process at its February 23rd regular meeting. And I noted for you that the sidewalk improvement program is included in the village's capital improvement plan.
Thank you. Council? I will move to accept the proposal for professional services from Noack and Frost Engineers dated December 22, 2025, relating to design and construction engineering services for year 2026 Sidewalk Improvement Program, District 2, not to include any services for sidewalk gaps in the total amount of $5,800 plus construction inspection and testing fees, and to authorize the village manager to execute the acceptance and approval of the proposal on behalf of the village.
Support.
So this is, step one, kind of getting everything going for the sidewalk, the District 2. So next meeting, special assessment process begins, so we're ahead of the schedule of what we were last year. Last year, we were trying to, get everything going a little bit later, correct?
We are at about the same
Okay.
spot as we were
Okay.
last year.
So timeline, special assessment, beginning at February 23rd. Are we looking, I don't remember the construction timeline last year. When are we looking to hopefully to have the improvements being made?
We had it done during the summer last year, so we awarded the contract, I think, in June or
Okay.
July. So it would be a summer project.
Okay. And it'll go out for bid again to construction. I know there were some concerns from some people about the construction of the sidewalks. Maybe we use the same one, but it'll go out for bid,
Yes.
just like last time.
And we require a 2-year warranty on the work. So that pretty much covers us almost until the time that we go back to that district again. So the contractor has to provide a 2-year warranty
Okay.
on the work that they do.
Other council questions? Yeah. Mr. Camperoni?
Just another question for Darwin. This $5,800, who pays for that? Does that come out of our general fund, or does that get passed on to the people to be assessed, or how does it, I'm not sure where any of these engineering funds come from. You know, we just gave her $250,000, and where's it go?
They become part of the project
Okay.
and part of the special assessment
So
process.
it's rolled in, okay.
Mr. Lamb?
I just need Darwin to answer a couple of questions. So the majority of these documents are huge costs for sidewalk gap closure estimates. A lot of money here. The one is $328,000 to construct sidewalks on Hawkswell Drive. Did we approve this, what did it cost us to? Did we approve earlier on one of the processes to get the engineers to prepare estimates for the closures? They spent,
I'm not sure what you're asking.
The engineers spent significant time doing these estimates for the sidewalk closures, gap closures, right? We're not going to do any of them correctly, correct?
Not during this current cycle.
Right, so
of the
previously we
sidewalk.
authorized them to prepare these estimates for us. Or no, they just.
Yeah, it was over a year ago, or just
Yeah.
about a year ago. You
Yeah,
can see
yeah.
they were dated last February.
And then we decided that, we decided not to go forward with the sidewalk gaps at this time.
Yeah, I can see why.
They're
$500,000.
expensive.
Yeah, so
They're
I just
significant.
want to be clear. So there's all these, I read all these documents, I looked at all these things. We're not doing any sidewalk gaps this time. We're just.
Correct.
So what is the scope of currently, do you have a conceptual idea of how many slabs we're replacing this time? Or how many do you think we're replacing this time?
I have 56 areas, repair areas.
Okay, so it's in a very small.
Yeah.
Correct.
South of Atwater, east
Yeah,
of
little
M24.
right,
Correct.
It's like last project, it was a small project.
Yes.
Yes, okay. I just, with the amount of documentation, so I want to make sure. Okay, thank you.
And then if I remember right too, with those gaps, we have the estimates for them, and we'll consider them in year 4, but we may choose to do some of them, none of them, and I know we had residents saying that they don't even want them on some places, so we may choose.
I think it's good that you at
Yeah.
least have a number to
Yeah.
attach to it when you maybe decide
Right,
to do it.
because some may make sense, some may not, yeah. Any other questions, comments? Any public questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember O'Shea?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Papachak?
Yes.
Pro Tem Ford?
Yes.
Councilmember Camperoni?
Yes.
President Rutt?
Yes,
Councilmember Danielides?
Yes.
Motion carries.
thank you.
I'll sit down now. Thanks.
And thank you to our engineers for being here and getting through. I mean, most of the things on our agenda were you. Item number 11, call to the public, same as before. Each person wishing to address the council may keep your comments limited to 4 minutes on any item. Anybody for call to the public? Seeing none, I will close call to the public. Our DDA Executive Director is not here today, so council comments, Mr. Dandelides.
Just reiterate, I think the audit went well, and again, Sonia, I appreciate your addressing the one concern. Something else, and I can't remember what it was. I didn't write it down.
You're on vacation mode.
I guess.
Mr. Ford.
Yeah, I liked reading the audit and seeing that in the public, we sometimes get accused of doing things improperly, and the audit shows that we're not. And we're above board in how it's handled, and appreciate all the work that went into it and by our administration. Thank you.
Ms. Mosier.
Ditto on both of those. I'm really happy about the audit, and Sonia, you stepped right up to the plate, so that was awesome. We did not get a chance to go to the ice sculptures, the Ice Fest, but we did go through and look at them. It was pretty cool. The Pelican was my favorite, and then the beer bottle out in front of Bitter Tom's. But it was really cool, and I'm sure they're still out there because it's cold enough. So, sorry we couldn't make it. We've had a lot going on in our lives right now, but it was cool to see. Thank you. Oh, I forgot to thank the people. I always thank the people for coming.
Mr. Camperoni.
Yeah, I don't have anything this week. It's kind of quiet today.
Mr. Pepcheck.
Yeah, just, well, I guess if they're watching, because I know we always get a pretty good audience that tunes in, but welcome to the new players on the team, right? I saw the DDA appointment there, and then the new village attorneys who were here, which was nice to see. So looking forward to that. And yeah, I know we've talked a lot about tough choices we'll have to make in the budgeting process and priorities and things like that, but I like the way that discussion is going so far. But yeah, it's a lot as you start hearing these things. Yeah, it's a heads up, right? Water and sewer bills, that's a big one. They could be going up. People are going to get hit with road bills, special assessments, especially the poor people that live on the dead-end streets. But sidewalks, it's part of the discussion we're going to have, I think, and it should be a good discussion how to try to see what we can do to keep those costs to a minimum for the taxpayers.
Thank you. Mr. Lamb.
Thank you. Tonight, I'm just happy to see everybody's here, and I'm really, really sad that the village people are going to get soaked for so much money for repairing the neglected water and sewer systems in the village. The last couple meetings, we've got prima facie evidence and testimony that says there will be $8 to $12 million in bonds sold this next year, that we have to complete phases 2 and 3 of the sewer, or the sewage will go in the lake. And that project is going to happen right now. Okay? The sad news is the $100 to $200 estimated sewer increase on your quarterly bills is going to hurt like hell. I mean, last year we had an increase around $50, $60 per household per quarter. So I want you to imagine what it's going to feel like when you get that first water bill that's $150 more than the month before. And then it keeps coming and coming and coming. And then 3 years from now, when someone decides that all the water mains need to be replaced in phases 3 and 4 of the water main replacement, which is half the village, and you get soaked for another $8 or $10 million, And then we pump up your water bills too. So I think we're easily headed, let's see, so 500, $200, $300, $400 a month for water and sewer bills to live in the village, which is a wonderful place to live. And sadly, I can't drink, I live on the lake, on one of the bays, and I can't drink that water. I water my grass, thank God, but I can't. And I feel, I have mixed feelings about this current council, and whether they actually want to do something for the people of our community, or they just want to talk a lot. I can't talk to the attorney, ask him simple questions about simple things. For some reason, after 50 years, council people can't talk to the attorneys. The good news, I can talk to Darwin all the time if he answers this phone. Call him up, and he lets us talk to his staff, too. I get to talk to the clerk, I get to talk to Mr. Sanchez, and the chief, I occasionally call him, talk to him. I don't have much, trouble with cops. So, we talk about openness, disclosure, transparency. Well, guess what, people? You're going to pay, and hopefully you're watching, you're going to pay, and pay. And I'm sorry. I'm going to apologize right now, just like I did 5 years ago. I'm going to apologize to you when I told you that you were going to pay a lot and that the council wasn't going to do anything about it. So I'll be paying right next to you if that makes you feel any better. Thank you.
Mr. Danovich remembered, and it's not a debatey type of thing.
So I remember, we closed the loop on the legal services tonight, and again, I wanted to recognize Darwin's leadership. I think that the process that we did was outstanding, and I'm very pleased with the results. Chief, you took over when Darwin was on vacation and kept that process going, so thank you. I think it was a great process and great leadership. Thanks.
Thank you. Wanted to welcome Todd Garris as well to our DDA board. Looking forward to serving with him, working alongside him, and him getting up to speed. I did warn him that it's like a fire hose to begin with, as I'm sure we can all attest to when we first joined council and whatever other boards and stuff that we've been on. Echoing Mr. Danelich's comments, thank you, Darwin, and the ad hoc committee too for your leadership in the attorney process. Outside of that, it's thawing just a little bit. It's not so icy cold. And well done to the Rotary and the support from the DDA for the Ice Golf Challenge and the Ice Fest and everything. And with that, Village Manager comments, Mr. McCleary.
Thank you, Your Honor. First of all, I want to express to my staff my sincerest appreciation for all of their hard work and seamless work that they have done while I was on vacation. It proves that we have a staff that is second to none. Just an absolutely outstanding staff. Thank you, Chief, for filling in as acting village manager. And thank you to the rest of our department heads for supporting the chief in that role. I did want to respond to Mr. Lewandowski's comments real quick to let the Lewandowskis know that we take very seriously the concerns that they have about the standby generator that's been installed next door to their house. We continue to look at that very closely to make sure that that complies with all of our ordinance requirements. There is work left to be done on that. Part of it is the landscape screening that has to be installed around that generator. That can't be done until spring, but we are monitoring it. The police department has purchased a decibel meter so that we can measure the noise level of that generator. Once it is operational and it is running, we will do that testing to make sure it complies with our ordinance requirements, which is 55 decibels, if I remember correctly. So we are taking those concerns very seriously. Your Honor, Council has received my report tonight. Just noted for you that we have begun budget preparation. All of our department heads are working on their departmental budgets. We are going through that process. At this point, the budget will be presented to council in accordance with charter at your first regular meeting in April. Also, I want to note that the transmission on the township's salt truck has gone out, and as a courtesy, our Public Works Department is assisting the township with salting of the parking lots and drive at the township municipal building and at the fire station as needed. The township is providing the salt supply for that work. But I want to recognize and thank our outstanding Public Works Department for stepping up to the plate, supporting our township as our sister community. And it is one example of the cooperative relationship that we have with the township. And I provided you with some important upcoming dates for your information. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. We have no closed session items, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion and support. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.